Marques, you've been a Hollywood guy for a long time now. You've had a lot of success in film and TV as a writer, producer as well. What if I pitch you a story about a kid from Greece who used to sell trinkets on the street, who 10 years later came to the United States and became a basketball god? Would you believe it?
Yeah, well, probably not. You had to share a pair of shoes with his older brother because they couldn't afford two pairs, so they got one pair, and two or three of them shared those shoes together. Mom and Dad did the tremendous job they did. Dad passes away at a young age 3 or 4 years ago of a heart attack unexpectedly. And all this kind of stuff just happens for this family. Those two brothers that shared those pair of shoes on the same team this year, able to share this moment together. I mean, it is such a wonderful, wonderful American success story. And then you top it all off with Giannis Antetokounmpo being as humble. He's got ego. Don't get me wrong. He's got ego. You don't have that kind of greatness and not have ego. But he is such a wonderful person, genuine person to be around. And it's a story that's going to get made. I tried to talk him into letting a friend of mine, Michael Starbury, Josiah's buddy, a great writer, write the story. But he had already gotten somebody on board to handle that for him. But they're in the process now of trying to make that story. And what a fitting. Not the end of it this season, but it's one of the climaxes of his life, of his career. And so just beautiful the way this thing has worked out. 50 years since he won a championship, he dropped 50 exactly in the closeout game. I mean, you couldn't have scripted it any better.
Marques, we got the birthday boys in studio here, Chris Brockman and TJ Jefferson, trying to put down what we now affectionately call the Giannis, which is a 50-piece of nuggets and half Sprite, half lemonade, and they're not even getting through 10 or 20, let alone a 50-piece.
Yeah, Marques, it's not going down well.
I mean, I appreciate the thought, but the execution is going to be really, really tough, man. That's a lot of nuggets, man. That's too many nuggets.
Now that the parade's over, there is a flight that is leaving Milwaukee today, a direct flight to Tokyo, and it's got Devin Booker, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton on it. A very uncomfortable flight, I would imagine, for Devin, as Drew and Chris probably still smell like champagne.
Yeah.
What was it?
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you, what was it about those two Olympians that you just enjoyed watching throughout this entire Bucks run?
Well, all three of them, really. Seriously. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed Devin, too. Don't get it twisted. I mean, Devin he was just superb for most of the playoffs, kind of cooled off a bit in that Game 6. But Drew and Chris, obviously, it was Game 5 in Phoenix. Yeah, that was the game, and that was the game that, Drew took over in that second quarter, Chris took over in that third, and they've done it all throughout the playoffs, even though Drew at one point had the lowest effective field goal percentage of any player with a certain minimum of field goal attempts. So he was struggling to knock down shots. But I told his pops, I was like, look, Sean, man, I'm loving what Drew's bringing to the table. He's going to hit his shot at some point. But even if he doesn't, what he's doing defensively and distributing the basketball and his physicality on the court, and then Chris Middleton, he's another great story. He's a guy that was, unheralded coming out of college, second-round pick, went to the G League, a throw-in the deal from Detroit that brought him to Milwaukee, and here he is, a two-time All-Star and NBA champion. So I'm so just elated for him to have the kind of success he's had. See, this championship is going to really help a lot of these guys in terms of feeling so good about themselves and where they belong in a pantheon of NBA greatness that it's going to have, residual positive after effects for years to come, career and post-career for these guys. So it's just a monumental accomplishment that has so many benefits currently and down the road.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.